Emeka Egbuka and Matthew Golden are consistently listed as the best slot receivers in the NFL draft, but it's often debated who's better. Daniel Jeremiah has them listed one spot away from each other in both of his top 50s. Emeka Egbuka is an ultra-reliable receiver with great route running, speed, and hands. And on the other hand, Matthew Golden reaches top speed in the blink of an eye and is great at the catch point. To get into the stats, Emeka Egbuka had 25 more receptions than Golden, but had an average yards per catch of 4.5 yards less. They ended with 1,011 yards and 987 yards respectively. Even in this system with Jeremiah Smith, Egbuka still commanded a target share of 25.9%. For comparison, Justin Jefferson commanded a target share of 27.4%. Egbuka also had a catch rate of 64.1% on those targets and on average got 6.75 yards after the catch throughout his entire collegiate career. Matthew Golden had a 15% target share and had a 70% catch rate. He was also always a home run threat, averaging a touchdown every 6.1 receptions throughout his entire collegiate career. Golden also broke out later in the year with 41.7% of his total yards coming from the last 4 games of the year, while Egbuka's been balling out his entire career. But that could be because Golden was new to this Texas offense, just transferring this year, while Egbuka's been with the Buckeyes his entire tenure. To get into the actual scouting, let's start with receiving, because no matter how good of a run blocker or run after catch ability you have, you need to catch the ball. Both of these guys are incredibly savvy route runners with very elite speed in the case of Emeka Egbuka and insane start-stop ability in the case of Golden. I wouldn't want to be the man required to stop any of these guys in man coverage because watching their film, it almost seems impossible. Against zone coverage, both these guys have elite awareness and always seem to find the soft spot in zones. Golden has a natural ability to change his speed at the blink of an eye that makes him so hard to guard. He will change his speed on a dime to create separation against both man and zone and consistently create separation at the top of his routes through deceleration his opponents simply can't keep up with. Egbuka is also an incredible athlete, but he creates separation through some of the cleanest route running and footwork you will ever see. He can manipulate defensive backs' positionings seemingly at will, and then do an incredibly sharp cut to leave the defenders on an island while he's wide open. Egbuka is also incredibly tough and will catch the ball in traffic and take a hit without dropping it. Now that we've established that both these guys can get the ball in their hand seemingly at will, let's talk about what they do after the ball is in their hand. Egbuka uses his legit track speed, vision, and instincts to make defenders miss and get huge chunk plays. The Buckeyes also knew this and consistently used Egbuka in screens and jet sweeps just to get the ball in his hand. Now, Egbuka has great yak ability, but Matthew Golden, this guy is something else. He will consistently turn routine checkdowns into house calls. Every time I saw this guy catch the ball, I was holding my breath, waiting for him to make a guy miss and turn his 7-yard catch into a 70-yard play. This was evident in the fact he housed 2 kickoffs for Houston in 2023. The only real drawback with his yak ability is that you almost never see Golden break a tackle because he's pretty skinny at 195 pounds. Now, there's a reason these guys aren't considered top 5 picks. Both of these guys struggle against press releases, which could limit them to the slot, but I believe in the next level with proper coaching, both of these guys have the size and athleticism to play at the Z. Matthew Golden does sometimes struggle with concentration drops on routine plays, but will definitely make acrobatic catches, which is something Egbuka struggles with. Both these guys have had pretty major injuries in the past, but did play 16 games in Egbuka's case and 15 games in Golden's case this past year, so those injuries could very well been a one-off thing. Golden also really struggles in the run game, and sometimes just gets dominated by defensive backs. Egbuka is better, but still struggles sometimes against bigger corners. Now, to get into a segment inspired by a comment, who benefited more from their situation, Matthew Golden or Emeka Egbuka? By the way, I'm obviously a small channel, so if you're enjoying, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I see every comment, even on my older videos. Both players played for elite coaches and national championship contenders and had other receiving threats teams had to account for. In Matthew Golden's case, he played with Isaiah Bond, who I made a video on, and Gunnar Helm, who will most likely be day 2 picks. He also played under Steve Sarkisian, who's an elite offensive mind. Golden was put in a great place to succeed, but to be honest, Egbuka definitely had it better. Egbuka played with Jeremiah Smith, who had 1,300 yards as a freshman, and would be a top 5 pick if he declared right now. Alongside Smith, defenses had to account for the two-headed monster that was Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson running behind one of the best offensive lines in the nation. Not to mention, Will Howard was much better than the disappointing Quinn Ewers. Both of these guys did get a lot of help, but I still think they were elite in their own right and would have shined in any situation. The NFL pro comps for Emeka Egbuka and Matthew Golden are actually the same player, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Egbuka and Golden are pretty similar players if you haven't picked that up from this video. All three share many characteristics, such as being elite route runners with strong hands and fantastic yak ability. Egbuka and Amon-Ra are also both incredibly tough and physical and have high football IQs, while Golden and Amon-Ra make more acrobatic catches than Egbuka. If both players reach their peak, I could see them being very similar to someone like Amon-Ra, but I think Golden might have more alignment versatility just from what I've seen because he did primarily line up as an X this year at Texas. Both of these guys are clear first-round picks, but to be honest, with how reliable they are and how high potential they still have, I could see either of these guys being the first receiver taken off the board. Yes, I know, slot receiver is generally seen as less valuable, but look at what JSN and Amon-Ra do for their teams. I think people need to stop focusing so much on positional value and just start drafting ballers. Finally, to get into team fits, I think both of these guys would be great on the Cowboys, which is a little higher than most mocks have them going, but very possible nevertheless. Egbuka and Golden would provide a great second receiving threat outside of CeeDee Lamb that teams would have to look out for and fill a need at slot. Another team would be my Pittsburgh Steelers for a similar reason. You obviously have George Pickens, but outside of that, you're pretty thin. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe.